Hello, I'm Selina Lau from the Hong Kong Federation of Insurers. I'm very happy to be back again at the Global Insurance Fraud Summit and share with you some of the initiatives we have in Hong Kong to fight against insurance fraud. Okay, let me share the screen first. I'm going to discuss two initiatives we have in Hong Kong. One is using AI, the other one is using blockchain to prevent insurance fraud. Now, let me give you an overview of what HKFI is. The Hong Kong Federation of Insurers is the representative body and the progressive voice of our industry in Hong Kong. We represent both non-life, life, reinsurers, as well as captive insurers in Hong Kong.Currently, we have close to 140 insurance members. Altogether, we underwrite more than 90% of the gross premium in Hong Kong. Like the title suggests, in Hong Kong, we use two kinds of solutions. One is blockchain, one is AI. Let me first introduce to you what blockchain applications we use to prevent insurance fraud.We call it MIDAS, aka Motor Insurance DLT-based Authentication System. Now, what happened is that, let me show you the next slide first. What happened is that in 2016, we found that more than 1,000 insurance policies being sold via social media like WhatsApp, WeChat, and Facebook are indeed fake insurance policies. When the car owners and drivers bought these policies, they didn't realize it is forged documents, and they presented the forged documents to the transport department when they renew their vehicle license. And as a result, more than 1,000 policies without any real coverage. It has a very serious implication on the driver themselves, on the pedestrians on the pavement, as well as the passengers in the cars. So when we found that there is such a huge number of fake policies, we try to find a way to address the problem. And in 2017, we sit together with the transport departments, the Hong Kong police force, as well as our regulated insurance authority to find a possible way to address this problem.And what we need to find is that we know that we've got 3 pain points. That is, the car owner buying a fake policies without knowing that the policies are indeed forged documents. And there is no way for the transport department or the car owners to verify the authentic or the validity of their cover note or motor policy.And the staff at the transport department renew the car licenses without authenticating the validity of the motor policies. So multiple parties do not know whether the policies they are using are fake or not. So we have to find a way to address these pain points. We know that we need a solution which is easy to use and easy for the users to use.And we have to find a solution which can provide a real-time solution, an authentication process which can be done within seconds. And we also have to find a solution which is in full compliance with the privacy law in Hong Kong, which is quite stringent. So in December afterwards, we found that blockchain is indeed the solution we need to address all these pains. So we find a very, very prominent startup in Hong Kong, which is called CryptoBlock, to help us as a vendor to develop a blockchain solution for this application. So in 2018, we conducted a survey to ascertain the support of our member companies. As a result, 80% of our motor insurers are supportive of using MIDAS as the way to authenticate in motor insurance.And in 2018, end of 2018, we engaged the transport departments to do a UAT to make sure that the blockchain application is usable at their offices, at their licensing offices, and that their frontline staff are able to use it on a very quick basis. And in December 2018, we launched MIDAS together with our regulator, the Insurance Authority. At that time,car owners and the transport department can scan the QR code on the motor policies. So by scanning the QR code, the blockchain will return with all the basic information about the motor policy and to confirm that it is a valid one. throughout the process, we engage all the stakeholders to make sure that this multi-policy, this Midas platform is applicable to everybody and is useful for everyone. So we involve the transport department, the police department, and our insurance regulator. We find our partner CryptoBlock to help us to do the to provide a solution. We also talk to a range of insurers, multi-insurers, all the major insurers in Hong Kong. So what we do, what does Midas do? Midas provides top-notch data security because it's blockchain. The information there cannot be changed, as well as it's real time. And the most important part is that Midas does not capture any PII. So no data privacy is involved. And it is easier for the Hong Kong multi-insurers to launch because, as you may probably know, it is not difficult to find a solution to address a problem, but it is very important to make sure this solution is compliant with all the regulations and rules, as insurance is a highly regulated industry. The Midas blockchain is a very simple one. As our CryptoBlock, as our partner CryptoBlock described, it is really basic blockchain. And when the multi-insurer inputs the policy data into the blockchain, it will go into the solution, and all the important information will be hashed, and then we send back to the Midas platform. So at the transport department, they can use a pad to scan the QR code, and then it will return with all the basic and most necessary information to authenticate that this policy is indeed a real one. So what kind of information contained is that we will contain the validity, the effective date of the motor policy, the end date of the motor policy, the status, is it valid or not, what type of policy it is. Whether it is a real policy, a actual policy, or it is only a temporary cover note. And it also shows the policy reference as well as the chassis number of the vehicle. However, there will not be any name of the car owner or any information about the car owner, because we want to ensure that no personally identifiable information is available on this DLT. Why Midas is so unique? It is the first ever industry-wide application of blockchain technology in the space of multi-insurance in Asia. And it is also a classic case of private public partnership because it involves the transport departments, the police force, as well as the regulator, as well as the privacy commissioner in Hong Kong. We found that it is it's like a showcase on how the industry, a commercially run industry, can work together with the government. Together, we work together and make sure that to address a pain point common to all, and then come up with a solution to address the problem. And we also have the support of 60 motor insurers. Currently, they are representing over 60% of the market share. And we're working more closely with the rest of the motor insurers to ensure that they're on board. After 2 years, we want to engage more motor insurers on this Midas platform. And it is also a perfect solution to showcase that blockchain does help address the pain point of the insurance industry and how it can authenticate a policy without involving any PII. And it is also another very key milestone in the journey of transforming Hong Kong into a smart city. For your information, the Hong Kong government has launched a smart ID program via the government. And that some of the applications, the solutions or the tech applications will be launched through the Smart ID platform. And we're talking closely with the transport department on using embedding Midas into the Smart ID program, as well as when people in the future, when car owners or drivers, they want to renew their car licenses online, they can use Midas to authenticate their policy so that they don't have to go to the licensing office at all. And Midas will be part of the part of the process, I would say. And because of this very unique nature of Midas, mainly because it's the first of its kind, as well as it involves all these very important partners, we have won quite a number of awards across the region. We were named one of the top fintech awards in the, we've got a gold award with the Hong Kong ICT Award. We also won a regional award presented by the Asia Insurance Industry Award. We also got a award from a cross-border, from the mainland authority. So I think this is what I would describe. It's a fruitful result of a collaboration among the industry, among the government, and among our tech partners, Crypto Block. The other tech solution we deployed in Hong Kong to prevent insurance fraud is the Insurance Fraud Prevention Claims Database. It is basically an AI deep learning program we use to ensure that all these claims we process, when we identify, there will not be any fraudulent elements. Because as you all know, you are the experts, you all know that 10% of our claims play out went to the fraudsters. But in Hong Kong, because of these historical issues, we don't have a lot of, we did not have a database in place to prevent such, to do AI analysis or to prevent such fraudulent behavior in Hong Kong beforehand. But in 2015, the Hong Kong FI, the Federation, decided that it is time to address this problem. So we put aside 20 million Hong Kong dollars as a seed fund to explore whether we can launch a database in Hong Kong, which is similar to the other jurisdiction. And eventually, after 3 years of preparation, we launched the database in December 2018. The first line of business we launched is multi-line of business. What the database in Hong Kong can do is that we have three main basic functions. One is the claims information search. What we do is that when the insurers process the claims, they will transfer the data of the claim, about the claim, as well as all the policy data into this database, the centralized database. And then when the insurers want to check whether there are claims history by the name of the policyholder or by date of birth or by other indicator, they can go through the database and find such information. The other very important element about this database is the fraud analytics and alerts. So when the database found that there are duplication of frauds or there are frauds that is meeting the scenario, fraud scenarios they establish in the database, they will return with a score. So the claims handler will be alerted that this particular claim is very suspicious and it receives a very high score. And then they will go into the database and look at the details of this fraud on this claim. But I have to point out one point that the database is only able to alert or raise or flag some of the suspicious cases. It will not be able to prove that it is a fraudulent claim. What needs to be done is that when the claims handler receives such an alert, they go to the database, have a look at it, and then they will conduct further investigation to prove that it is a fraud, insurance fraud. The third function of the database is that it will produce industry trend reports. After a few years of collection of data, we found that the database can return with a trend on what is happening in Hong Kong, what is the fraud scenario commonly found in Hong Kong, so that our fraud handlers can have a look at it, and then they can take prevention or precautious actions. So what the AI does? That AI is that we will provide an understandable explanation to claims handlers. We'll explore the numbers and the various types of fraud, and we'll take particular case into account. So what we engaged the Shift Technology, a French company, a French startup it have the expert experience in fraud detection in the insurance sector. So they will input the fraud scenarios they have elsewhere into the Hong Kong database. However, Hong Kong fraudsters are pretty smart, and we also have different fraud scenarios. So we'll input the fraud scenarios into our database as well to improve the analytics capability and improve the efficacy of our database. So the solution can automate automatically explore the anomaly And then it can also have more alerts produced from the database to alert the the claims handlers. The data flow is that when the insurers input the data into the centralized database, the data scientists behind the scene will teach the AI through deep learning, through interactive learning from the data received from the insurers, and then it will output with some fraud alerts. The data we collected in our database is basically personal data about the claimant as well as about the beneficiary. There will also be claim status relating to a claim like the motor insurance. If, for example, for a motor insurance case, we'll collect the date of accidents, the venue of the accident, as well as the scenario as well. There will be policy data as well, because we need the information about the policy, about the insurance agent, whether it is taken out through internet or taken out through an intermediary. There will be third-party data as well, because in Hong Kong, when there is a claim, the motor owner will send the wreckage or the damaged car to the mechanics, the body shop, to have a look, and they may involve the lawyers to proceed with the legal proceedings. So the lawyers will be the third-party data, the mechanics will be the third-party data. And they're also involving the medical community as well, because they treat the injured party in the motor incident. So all these data will become the third-party data of our database. Like what I said at the very beginning, data privacy is the top concern of the whole database, because in Hong Kong, data privacy law are very vigorous. And we also have a very stringent regulation over our insurance insurers. So we have to make sure that the database is compliant with all the insurance regulation as well as privacy laws. So that's why we deploy privacy by design in the very beginning of our whole setup and establishment. So basically, we want to make sure that all the data we use are legitimate. So at the very beginning, our claims handlers and experts said that they wanted like 100 data fields. But after rounds of discussion and more consideration, we found that we don't need excessive data fields. So we reduced the number of data fields by 30. So we now have around 70 data fields that we need to input into a database. We want to make sure that no excessive data collection is taking place within our database. The other one is the access to the database. All the access to the database have to be authorized by the CEO of the insurance company, as well as the federation, as we are the administrator of the database. And there will be audit trail to make sure that the database who having the access to the database is all recorded. The data retention policy is very important as well. We don't want to keep the data in a database permanently. So it is limited to 7 years of the last data action. Like if the policy surrendered, after the surrender of the policies, we can keep the data for 7 years. Or after the policy expired, we can keep the data for 7 years. After that, it will be automatically deleted. And we want to ensure that there is transparency for the database. For any data subject who have any personal information on the database, they can request to understand what kind of information they have on the database. And if there are any error about the data, they can correct it. So HKFI is responsible for that part. And accountability. We have a very stringent governance structure in place, and there will be sanctions in place to make sure that all those parties involving the database have a role to play and is liable to any breach or any complaints. Like I said, we have audit trail. We record everyone who is having access to the database and the time of the access and what kind of information they collected or they review. And there will be annual and periodic audits by independent party. And we are currently doing an audit on a multi-line of business to ensure that both our vendors, Shift Technology, as well as the insurers who are having access to the database are all in line with all the compliance requirements. And there is data security is very important as well. Shift technology is GDPR compliant. We at the Hong Kong Federation are also complying with all the requirement of the Hong Kong laws. Recently, our Privacy Commissioner has launched a new initiative on ethical development and use of AI. So there are requirements like being respectful, being beneficial and fair. There are also 7 ethical principles. We talked about accountability, transparency and interpretability, fairness, reliability and robustness and security, human oversight, data privacy and beneficial AI. So you can see that when you look at these ethical principles dished out by Privacy Commissioner, our accountability, our framework, our privacy by design framework has already matched most of all of these requirements. And one point I want to point out is about human oversight. While there is AI, artificial intelligence in place, we want to make sure that there are also human interaction with the database as well. So that's why we set up different committees and the anti-fraud committees. All the very seasoned claims handlers come together to look at the fraud scenarios established by our data scientists and see if they are still valid. So if they are not valid, our claims handlers will input into the system and tell the system that, well, this case is not really valid. It is not a fraud. So the AI at the database will learn that, oh, these should be, I should fine tune it. So it is deep learning, interactive, and then the machine will learn from the human what to improve on this fraud scenario. In 2016, we started the feasibility study. And like I said, we spent at least 3 years to work on the privacy by design proposal. We worked on the stakeholders engagement, and we did a proof of concept. And by the end of 2018, we implemented the database. We launched the motor line of business last year. We launched the health line of business this year. And we're anticipating to launch the personal accident line of business. And because of the COVID-19 situation, all the traveling has stopped. So the travel line of business will be deferred, and we'll, depending on the situation, we'll launch it very soon, because travel insurance is one of the huge leakage in our local market. Lots of fraud are being detected now by human beings. We find that the IFPCD is good for Hong Kong, and I think that it is a very good sample of how we can use AI and to help, as well as the blockchain, to help our markets to do better, to detect fraud, to make sure that our policyholders will not be victimized by the fraudsters. And here's my sharing. If there is any questions, you're welcome to raise it through the platform. Thank you very much, and see you next year.